Hey everyone, in this video, we're going to be talking about prompting best practices while creating workflows. This is a very common question that comes from our customers and builders. And I'll just say that there is really no one correct way to do it. But the topic that always comes up is, have you provided the agent enough context and detail to actually build the workflow that you intended to build? So that's really the first concept that I want to go over here, which is context. And this can be notes from a meeting that you've taken. It can be a process flow diagram. It can be screenshots. You're essentially describing the systems that you're interacting with, the data that is being passed through the workflow, and giving the agent enough information to understand and build out an accurate workflow for you and code that for you. So context is probably one of the most important things. Next, I'll talk to you about a couple of different areas that can help you create a successful prompt. One is the inputs. Are they user entered? Is it data coming from another system? Is it a manually run workflow? Those types of things are information that the agent can use to then give you the correct trigger. Next is you want to define what is the desired outcome of your workflow. It could be updating a system. It could be a formatted report, an email, a notification sent. So it's helpful to define that up front. You may be dealing with system to system type workflows. When that's the case and you have mapping involved, it could help to provide a mapping file. It can help to describe the structure of the data that's coming through your automation. Triggers, we touched on this a little bit, but you want to be thinking, how is my workflow going to start? And again, that can be a schedule job. It can be a inbound email. It can be a webhook from another application. If you define the trigger up front, you're going to be closer to that production-ready workflow that you wanted. And finally, examples. You can give examples of the desired output. You can give examples of the data that is being provided to the automation. Sometimes an example is better than trying to describe the data. You just give examples of the data. The last slide that we'll go through here is a template. Now, you do not need to follow this exact structure. I often give the agent my unstructured notes and say, hey, go figure this out. I've given you all the information. But if you need something to get started, here's a framework that you can use. So it goes and then you give the schedule, fetch this data from this system, do X with it, and then deliver to Y. And so what does that look like in a real life example? Down below, you can see here, every weekday at 8 a.m., fetch open tickets from Zendesk, summarize the urgent ones, then deliver it to the support Slack channel. And so in this way, I've really given the agent builder everything it needs to configure that workflow from start to finish. And this is similar to the example we'll run through today. Now let's jump over to Pinkfish and I'll show you an example. Here inside Pinkfish, I'm on the Workflows tab, and I'm going to paste in and submit this prompt. This prompt follows the structure similar to what we just covered. It says every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific, fetch all open opportunities in Salesforce with these stages, and over this amount, summarize the top 10 by a close probability, and then post a report to my Slack Pinkfish bot channel. So like I mentioned in the last video, the first thing that Pinkfish does is tool discovery. It's going to be looking for my Slack connection and my Salesforce connection. If it does not find a connection, it will prompt you in the chat here to go and create that connection. Prior to this video, I had set up my Slack connection. I had not set up Salesforce. Let's go ahead and create that connection now. I'll leave the name default. It's my dev environment. I'm going to allow all tools. You can restrict at this level here. I'll just create it by default here. And then I'll enter my username and password and log in, and that should create my connection. Okay, so I'll say use this connection. And now it's asking me to confirm the trigger. So I said every Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific. That looks good. That time zone's correct. And that looks good. So I'll create the schedule. And so that's creating the scheduled trigger. And we'll give it some time to build here. Okay, so it's got the basic structure, and now it will iterate on that code until it verifies everything is running correctly. So you can see it did encounter an error. It's going to loop, fix the code, rerun until it gets all the way through. And when this does run successfully, it will fetch opportunities from that Salesforce environment. It will format them, and it will post to my Slack channel. Later in this playlist, we're covering a video on mock mode, which is important for when you're dealing with enterprise live systems. So there it goes. It's actually passed all the way through. I can go and check my Slack to see if I got a posting here, and I did. So there's the Friday pipeline report, just run manually through that initial build and test. So you can see how it's numbered those and formatted them and so on. So going back to the workflow, you can see that when you provide everything up front, the agent gives you this very guided experience, and you're likely to end up with a result that is close to what your desired workflow is. There are definitely adjustments that I could make to this. For example, if I wanted to format that Slack message, make it look a little nicer, I could iterate with the agent and do that. Let's just say I'm happy with this workflow, and when I release this, that trigger should go live. Right now, it's turned off, and there it goes. So now I have a published workflow that I built in a matter of minutes that is building an alert to Slack on a scheduled basis. And if I double click into that trigger, you can see that the live trigger is now turned on. So just to recap, there is no one structure, one best way to prompt. I think it's a matter of providing as much detail as possible, including attachments, images, bullet point notes, whatever you have that would be useful information for the agent as it's building the workflow. The more context you can give, the better, and the closer you'll be to a workflow that you can run for your team. I want to go back now and go through maybe a bad prompt example and show that even when you give a bad prompt, the agent is still going to help you through and build that workflow. So an example of a bad prompt here, I'll just create an opportunity forecast report. So you can see I don't have the timing, what's triggering this type of workflow, where is it going to get the opportunity data, what type of report information am I filtering on from that data, and where am I delivering it to? None of that is included in this prompt. However, the agent will try to build a workflow based on the information you give, and generally it's pretty good because the agent knows a lot about a lot of topics. However, it will piece in the gaps. So it'll create a running workflow, but it won't necessarily be fit to the process you were intending to deliver. We'll give this a couple of minutes and we'll see what it produces. So I can see it did go to Salesforce. That would make sense after asking for a forecast report, and it's searching through the tools it had available and it found Salesforce. So it did go and get the right system. It's building the report. However, the trigger is manual. So it's just a manually triggered automation, and the desired output is not being sent anywhere. So it's just building a report inside of Pinkfish. The report looks really good, given the amount of detail that I provided, but it's not being delivered anywhere. So this could be a report that you put into a results viewer, which is a type of interface, and then you display that within our coworker tab. Or you make it email or messenger friendly and you send it out through one of those channels. So as you can see, even when you don't provide a lot of information, the builder agent will attempt to come up with a workflow for you. But if you have an intended purpose, if you have a desired outcome, it's best to define that up front. I hope you found this information helpful. We'll see you in the next video, and we'll be covering triggers in more depth in that video. Thanks for watching.